as a coach, you find yourself back at Carlton in 1986.
Yeah.
My first question is this, Wolsey, when you took the job to coach Carlton in 1986, did you know that Kernahan, Bradley, Motley, Dorotich were coming?
Yes. Yes.
Right,
Yes.
Did I leave anyone else?
No.
Did I leave anyone out? No.
No, it was lovely.
Oh.
It was lovely, and I say that because when I was coaching at Fitzroy, we had no money. So I went from a club that had to sell players to survive to a club that was able to bring the best. That was just before drafting began. So I went from one extreme to the other, and obviously that puts pressure on you, because I knew when I went back to Carlton as coach, that playing finals meant nothing. You had to get to the grand final, and the first year we got into a grand final, we got beaten. The next year we won it. We were there for 3.5 years. A second, a first, a third, and a flick. I'm out of there.
Wow. 1987 grand final. I'll just fast forward to being on the podium with Sticks. Could you believe that he decided to, you were on the left, the cup was in the middle, Sticks was on the right. You, of course, held the Premiership Cup with your right hand, and Sticks, instead of on the other side holding it up with his left, decided to do the awkward thing and hold it with his right.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which forever has ruined a beautiful picture.
Well, you know the other thing that ruined it, from my memory, I had a Carlton shirt on like you've got, and let me say, you remind me very much of Captain Carlton. You sure you aren't Captain Carlton?
I knew it was coming. Well, no one knows who Captain Carlton is. He's like Batman.
I reckon it's you.
Oh, right then.
But I had a Carlton shirt on,
Yep.
and you know what I had under it? A white singlet. And when I lifted up the cup, if you have a close look, there's the white singlet. Well, who wears white singlets?
Well, you apparently. That's about it.
That's right.
Tommy Hafey said famously that he was never any good. He didn't work hard enough on the relationships going that way. He only worried about the players. What were you like at that part of your job?
I was the same.
Right.
I never courted friendship with presidents and CEOs and board members. Never did any of that. I always thought my job's to coach the players, and that's exactly what I did. Probably to my detriment.
I was about to ask, did that cost you in the end?
Oh, I think so. I think so, because everything's fine when the club's going okay and the team's winning games, but when they don't, you probably need to have a bit more support. And if you haven't worked to build those relationships, well, there's not much to support you when you're coming down. At Carlton, as coach, I felt you were not. I felt I was not the boss. At Fitzroy, I was the boss.
Yep.
At Carlton, I was not the boss, and that's to be understood to a certain extent, because you had people like Collins and Lofts and Elliott who'd been there for a long time, and they'd had senior positions, so they had a fair amount of power. And so you, as coach, came in, and you sort of had to, work with these other people. Sometimes it worked well, sometimes it didn't. I can remember Ian Collins saying to me, "You make all your own decisions, but just make sure that 3 out of 4 are right."
Okay.
And that stuck with me.
Yeah. 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4 have got to be right. I wouldn't change a thing though, because I did it. I guess I did it my way. So when it worked, it worked. When it didn't, it didn't. My old coach from Barassi, you know what he used to say to us? If you're going to make a mistake, make it a good one. Don't be half-hearted about it. Make it a full-blooded mistake if you're going to make a mistake. And that, I reckon, goes well with most things in life. If you're going to stuff it up completely.
Well, Horace would have been proud. I've applied that to relationships, was he? He'd be so proud.
Oh, Jesus.
What about this one? You're a Carlton Hall of Fame member, AFL Hall of Fame member. You were picked in Carlton's Team of the Century, where I think you in the forward line. You're just ahead of Digby Morrell. And who would be your favourite Carlton person in all your time there? Player, teammate?
Oh, the player that
official.
The player I respected the most was Bruce, of course. He was just 100% full on. You knew what you were going to get. He was humble. He was polite. He was honest. One of the biggest honours of my life that I was able to coach Bruce. And I can remember I was 35, 36. He was about the same age. And I used to train the boys pretty hard. And I'd often say to Bruce on a Tuesday night, halfway through a tough session, Bruce, knock off, go inside, you've done enough. And he would just shake his head and go away. And that's the sort of guy he was. He wasn't going to take any shortcuts. He didn't want any concessions.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And that's why we all love him so much.
Well, you last coached in 98? 97?
97 at Richmond, yeah.
How would you have gone in the modern day, Wolsey, with social media and video messages to supporters and websites and Twitter?
I would have struggled, but maybe I might have realised that you had to do that. It was a changing world, but it certainly wasn't my nature. My wife said to me when I coached for 16 years, she said, "You're a bloody grump for 16 years." And I think she was right. I never took a holiday. I always felt I had to be at the club. I had to be there. And if I had my time over again, I think I would have been more relaxed and giving, and I think it would have helped me because, as I said, I didn't work to build relationships with board members. I certainly didn't work to build relationships with people in the media.
Yeah.
And
what about players?
look, I'd like to think there'd be a lot of players who would say that I was there for them. And there'd be some who'd say, well, you know, he wasn't, because you can't please them all. And that's the thing about coaching, is that if you've got a squad of 40 and you've got 22 in the team, you're going to have 4 or 5 at any given time who are dirty on you because they think they should be in the side. But I hope I was honest with players. I hope that there wouldn't be a player who could say he never knew where he stood with me. And that might have been that you had to give hard messages. If it was, well, it was. But I think they always knew where they stood.
Yep.
Now, can I interrupt for a second? Just over here,
Yep.
these are the old boys playing pétanque.
A pétanque.
That's pétanque,
Is
right?
it French for a form of bocce?
Yes, yeah. And you'll see that everywhere. Wherever there's a little bit of hard ground, at around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll come together. You never see women play it. It's always older guys, and they'll be there from 3 o'clock to about 6 o'clock, and then off they'll go home.
In the time you've been here, Wolsey, have you played pétanque?
I haven't played with the locals like that. I've played in the back garden of a friend.
Yeah. How'd you go?
Not too bad. I've got a pétanque set at home, but I've hung around a few of these garden areas hoping I'd be called in for a game. So I've made it pretty obvious. So look, I'm available, but I've never been selected.
Wow.
So I think, that's a pretty close shop. I don't think they like too many outsiders.
They may not be aware that there is a former professional footballer just standing on the sides waiting to get picked for a game of pétanque.
No, that's right.
I want to show you this, Wolsey. This is my calendar it's for 1988, but it's actually more a tribute to what had happened in 1987,
Yes.
obviously, there's Robert Walls on the front, looking very regal.
There's not many baguettes in the belly there, is there?
No, you look very lean. I'm going to flip through and just do some word association,
Okay.
if that's all right. January was Stephen Kernahan.
Gentleman, honest, passionate about Carlton. I love it. Harry Madden. Never listened to a word I ever said. Totally ignored me.
And yet you continued to play him.
Because he was good.
It's a familiar face. You played with his father, Stephen Silvani.
Stephen and I had a rocky start. I was pretty tough on him. He was only 17, 18, and left him out of the 86 grand final, which broke his heart. But we got over that. He played very well in 87, fullback of the century. He's done it all.
John Dorotich, Wolsey.
Number 1 whipping boy. I used to give it to Dora because I knew he could take it.
Okay.
And if I gave it to Dora, it just woke everybody else up and let them know that they were on notice.
Here's a iconic seminal figure, Tom Alvin.
He held the ball the wrong way. always, like to hold the ball for a drop punt kick, you know, you have the lace facing away from you.
Oh,
He
yeah.
always had the lace facing him, and I would have told him 100 times, Tommy, you don't hold the ball like that, and 100 times he would have ignored me.
What about Craig Bradley?
Super professional, super fit, dedicated as they come, class act on the field and off the field.
If Braddles is watching too, that hair was a long time ago too, my friend. The Norm Smith medalist in 1987 Grand Final was David Rees-Jones, was he?
Yes.
How was that? How's the relationship with Rees?
Wasn't easy to coach. And I just found with Rees that the bigger the occasion, the more chance you had of him playing well. Really popular within the group, and just made the spirit of the team really strong. And that 87 team trained their guts out, and they were as tough as nails.
This man was my favourite growing up. That's
Jono.
The Dominator.
Big occasion player,
Yeah.
and confident, aggressive, would do whatever was required to win, and I like that about him. And
Did you love coaching him?
I did.
Ken Hunter is Mr. December in this calendar, Wolsey. Ken Hunter.
Kenny Hunter. I'm proud to say that I coach Ken Hunter because every Carlton supporter admires him. Kenny Hunter, legend at Carlton.
So when I ask you about the 1987 Premiership team, we've seen some of the players and the names. What do you think when you think about that team?
They were on a mission, there's no doubt about that. They worked really hard, I trained them hard. They were super prepared for whatever came their way, and there was a resolve. And the resolve in the end was a sad resolve, but it was a strong resolve. And there was Peter Motley, who was injured in a car accident, never played again. Broke our heart what happened to him. But the boys were playing for Mott's. Desi English had battled cancer in that year,
Yep.
and he was a premiership player, but he lost his position in the side through illness, and a lot of feeling for Des. And Bernie Evans was suspended for 1 week, which was the grand final. And Bernie would have been in the premiership team because he certainly would have been in the side.
Yep.
And that 1 week suspension cost him. And I just knew that I knew the boys would win the premiership when I drove to the MCG, and very rarely did I feel that way. But I just knew that we were not going to lose. I knew we weren't going to lose. As much as we were going to win, we weren't going to lose. There was a strong resolve there. So the fact that they won it, and they won it well, and as a lot of years have gone by, it makes you even prouder of them.
Wolsey, I'll just finish by saying, and words may not do it justice, but it has been one of the great privileges of my life to meet you and to chat to you and to be driven around the south of France by you. And really, there's nothing more I could say other than Robert Walls, merci.
Thank you, Sam. It's been my absolute pleasure. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad you've been able to come and see this part of the world. It's a special place, and it's just lovely to be able to share it with friends.
Pour l'éternité.